Hello. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning. I think it's almost morning in Uganda. I'm back. Apologize for the previous cutoff, but I'm back. My name is Lady Winnie. Today is February the 14th, Valentine's Day. Unfortunately, for some in Uganda, it is not celebratory because of especially lost loved ones. Lost not because they wish, but because their life is taken away prematurely by dictator Museveni, son Muhoozi, and brother of Museveni, Salim Saleh. So I'm back with a part of what I needed to share with you today. You know, something came to mind while I was thinking about coming back, especially with the military, the UPDF portion of this event today. Napoleon once said, there's a lot of conflict in the world, not because of bad people, but because of the silence of good people. So my UPDF or Armed Forces brothers and sisters, you are silent for too long. You have been silent for too long. You know what these people are doing. You can say no. You can say that you're following orders. You can say that that's where you eat or that's where you feed your family. You can say that that's a job, but your conscience is what you have to answer to every day. Why don't you join the stampede and do what's necessary so we can have some peace? So Uganda can be free, so you can enjoy. That's where I left off earlier. So in the transition project, or Muhoozi project, as it's said sometimes, the Muhoozi project is essentially about Museveni leaving or planning his exit and initiating Muhoozi's takeover of power. As sick as it sounds, he's literally taking off his shoes for his son to fill. Sometimes that's proverbial, but in this instance, it is something they think they can achieve. So as I mentioned earlier, there are plans to eliminate the older generals or colonels or brigadiers or higher-ups of the Security Council or the UPDF, armed forces, prisons, police, JAT, whatever armed force is in Uganda. They plan to eliminate them because they feel like they disrespect Muhoozi. General Tafiri has come out several times and spoken against the regime. He says it's okay that Muhoozi can run for office, but it should not be enforced from his father. And we say Muhoozi was not born in Uganda, is not entitled to taking over power from his father. In fact, he's an illegitimate person to run for presidency in Uganda. So because of people like that and things that they say, their plans are to eliminate all those 3-number generals or rankings or 4-number rankings. For example, I had said that Kahindo Tafire is a 4-number ranking general. So people like him are going to be slowly eliminated from the military. Like I said on Teresita, they brag about having poisoned at least 29 military people. That means by November, as they say, they will not be in existence and will not be alive to see next year. So then what I say is that Because these people control everything about your life, why are you still waiting for those moments to appear, to come? Why don't you take decisions now to save your life and your family's life? Because truly, if people like Otafire, Katumba Wamala, if they decided to say, you know, we're going to stand up for Ugandans, we're going to stand up for what's right, we can achieve this. I'm not saying militarily in a way of, you know, everybody gone type thing, or, you know, shooting people or killing people. But I think they can be assets to us to help bring about change by informing us of how those people operate in there. And maybe the other one could be an option too. But just crossing over and helping us this generation would be useful. So in any case, there's a saying that goes that at first they came for Bobby Wine and people did not speak. Elites said, oh boy, that is a crazy guy. He's a drunk. He's somebody from the ghetto. He's not brilliant. And because they're not, they kept quiet. Then they came for foot soldiers. And they did not speak again. The church did not speak. You know, Eddie Mutwe has a church where he used to go to every Sunday. But when Eddie Mutwe was in detention, not a priest said a word at the time. Father Deo was brutalized by Muhoozi. And nobody spoke about it because it did not affect them. The elites, the church people, those who are doing well, those are eating from Museveni. They did not speak because it did not affect them, because they were not foot soldiers. And then they came for activists and journalists. Even then, they did not speak because they're not activists; they're journalists. They say things like, "We're working for our children," or school fees, or whatever the case may be. There will be a time when they will come for you. You elite, you comfortable person, you who is living well now. There will be a time when they will come for you, and there will be nobody left to stand in for you, to speak for you, to support you. General Sunday died a few days ago because he despised National Unity Platform. He despised the fact that foot soldiers are being taken and some being tried in court-martial and all of that. The more you despise the fact that this movement is moving forward, the more you are at risk of whatever you feel like you are protecting right now. Because if you are Ugandan, you're moving target to Museveni and his family. It is time that we all join hands, especially those working for those people. Come to the right side of history. We will protect you. We know you have done a lot. People like the Abakama. Every time we have a security alert, it's even hard to mention, why would you protect a person like this? But you know what? We hope that someday, maybe he'll tell us, or he'll be a testimony to the ICC that will be credible to bring about change in this country. We have room, so come on, let's work together. All armed forces. It is obvious that they will eliminate all of you who are Ugandan descent. Come so we can work together. Instead of dying like chickens, cross to the other side. Okay? So the other thing they want to do is eliminate all military possible replacements for CDF position. Because they can't have a CDF with Muhoozi, who is an older generation, who is the 3-number or 4-number type military person. They want to eliminate all of those possible ones. So that moves even lower than the generals that I'm talking about that are seeming older. That means they're going to look at people in Muhoozi's age group. Who could possibly fill in those shoes? They want a Rwandese person, obviously. But in the meantime, they will eliminate all of you. So I'm talking finishing the top cream, the 00, the 3 numbers, the 4 numbers, the brigadiers, the colonels, the generals. They will come down to the next level low, potential CDF filling positions, and then eventually to the lowest. It has happened so many times that they send a lot of Ugandan military to Sudan and Congo to fight battles that they don't even care about. Without question, they dress up and go. Many of the Ugandan military don't come back. Even if they try to get them back, it is not responsibly and honorably. Why die like something wasted when you could be dignified for the right reasons, being called by God, or in a fight for your own country? Right now, all UPDF and militia or Ugandan military, you are fighting Rwandese interests. You are killing your own. You are arresting your own. All the prisoners, the prison wardens are protecting, are your own people, your own children, your own brothers and sisters. How does that feel? How do you sleep at night? Knowing that possibly somebody who could have been your child, you have run over with a vehicle, you have beaten, you have shot at and killed, you have abducted and disappeared. How do you feel? The way you are treating Ugandans who are compromised on orders is the way these people treat you. I have heard of how many of the armed forces are in incarceration right now. I'll get to it when we do. People who have already been killed that you all know. People like Mayombo, Lokech, Nyakirima. They say that Sunday Deus was killed by the same poison that Nyakirima was given. It does not take you more than 24 hours for you not to be alive. Now, I don't have the exact story about how that happened. I'll look for it and I'll bring it to you. But I have some stories about how, for example, Lokech, Mayombo. Imagine during transport from Uganda to Kenya for special treatment for Mayombo, while at the airport, being transported by SFCs, his oxygen cannula was purposely disconnected from the oxygen concentrator, that machine that continuously produces oxygen, purposefully, because they wanted him dead before he arrived in Kenya. That is the heart you are dealing with. Sunday Deus started having complications about a mile or two away, or a kilometer or two away from a hospital. But I will tell you that Deo was driven at least an hour to get him to the furthest possible hospital so that they make sure he's gone before he's delivered to the hospital, because they have to make sure he's dead. Imagine a heart like that. Their purpose of driving him around was not to rescue him. They drove him around to make sure he wastes away. He takes his last breath in their hands. So they can call the boss and say, yes, boss, it's done. The gentleman who has replaced Sunday is a Ugandan, the one right under him. He knows for a fact how Sunday went out of this world. But guess what? Because he's going to say, I have to feed my children, or I have to send my children to school, he's taking the shortest distance to losing his life versus a possibility to live even longer. It's a prisoner's mind, prisoner's mindset. Many of our soldiers have a prisoner's mentality. They are afraid of the unknown. They would rather die than possibly live, which is unfortunate. But I'm here to tell you that it is possible for change to happen. It is possible that you can have a better life, that you can have a longer life, that you can live an honorable life. As I mentioned earlier, if you're a soldier in the United States and you walk around with your uniform, anywhere you go, many of us will say, "Thank you for your service. Thank you, sir." Many will buy whatever you're buying. They'll pay for it for you. Many of them will get off a seat so that you can sit, because a soldier has been, doing their work, is tired and maybe needs some rest. Many of them will, they'll treat you with so much respect and dignity. But I see soldiers in Uganda. Some of you have shoes with a sole that is just holding on by a string. I can imagine if that's what's on the outside, what's on the inside. I'm not going to go into that much detail. But you know how badly you live. Why don't you look for change for a change? My father was in the military. When the time Museveni came to take over power, my father joined him with the NRA. My father went in as normally a recruit would go in to join the military. In good faith, hoodwinked, and lied to by the Museveni regime. He did not last 5 years. No. In 1986 was when Museveni officially took over power. My father died in 1993. Circumstances not explained. Died young. If he went into the military because he thought he was going to support his kids or feed them, well, he couldn't. He was gone. I was 7 years old. Gone. So I give that as an example, not to show off or not to make you feel bad, but I'm speaking to the heart of the UPDF or the military person. Think again. Tomorrow is not promised to you. It's not. My mother had to raise us single-handedly. My father made the ultimate sacrifice because he went in thinking he's going to raise a family with us. He was not here. He's not here. All of you are examples. You are all moving targets. You will be gone on their time, on their schedule, not on yours or God's schedule. No, because if Sunday was on God's schedule, he would have died of something else, not poisoned by Museveni. So anyway, let's move on. Sunday's killers were in the military. Okay, sorry, 1 second. All right. I think I've spoken too much. Let me move on to my next item. Okay. I have quite a lot, so bear with me, please. Okay. So Magere, as you know, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's home is still under siege by Museveni. In fact, it has become a barracks of some sorts. Museveni, in all attempts to paint Bobi Wine blue and black, or to taint his name, especially internationally, he has decided to use Kyagulanyi's land inappropriately at Magere. What he's doing is burying dead people on the land in Magere. The people that he's burying there, they're creating mass graves. Those people are Nup supporters whom Museveni and his family have killed. Some of them are being exhumed from certain places and being brought to Magere land. Okay? Because what he wants to do is to catch Bobby Wine in the act. Actually, not catch. He wants to portray Bobby Wine as a terrorist organization and be able to show new people that, hey, this is the president you think you have, but look, he has buried all your people. He has killed and buried all your people in the backyard. Even if Museveni doesn't last in power, what he believes is that Rwandese will know where this burial has happened, where all these people have been hidden. And eventually, say 10, 15 years later, they will come back with the international Western world community attention. The international community's attention will bring people with the intention to show them where these people have been buried. They're going to dig up lots around this area and bury them and act like nothing happened beneath that land. And that's why they're still everywhere on the land of Bobby Wine's home, because they want to maintain secrecy of what they're doing on that land. Okay? So once they bury and hide and all of that, then they will take the military away from home. There's been many reasons why Museveni has taken siege of Bobby Wine's home. One of them is to do witchcraft. A lot of it, extreme, unbelievable activity. The next one is to be able to bury these people, such secret, such evidence. Even 10 years from now, you can still do DNA and prove that certain people are certain people. They will document the reason why some of these people who are in prison will tell you that they've drawn their blood, they've done this, they've taken their pictures, they've taken this and that. They have storage for these facts so that in the future they can prove that truly this person is related to so-and-so by blood, 100% or whatever percent. Then you can tell if they're brother or distant relative or whatever the case may be. So that is something that they're doing on Bobby Wine's land. Okay? They're putting there all new people that they think they can get to bury on those land anywhere. All noob soldiers, foot soldiers are desperate because they're looking for them. You must hide as much as possible, all the foot soldiers, because they're still hunting them down. They're going to people's homes. They're taking people at night. They're taking people in the daytime. People are still disappearing. Many cannot report for fear of being trailed further. You know, there's a lot of intimidation. Even if apologists or regime apologists come out on TV and say, oh, we don't want Bobby Wine. We don't really care for Bobby Wine. No. In behind all of that, there's continuous abduction and killing of NUP members. Still, today, to date. Many NUP members are living in the bush. Many NUP foot soldiers cannot come out and live openly. They sleep in the bushes. They come out in the daytime. They're very vigilant. You know, unlucky ones are caught somehow because you can't live in the bush forever. But I promise you, and I know how much you're suffering, people, someday, soon, we will achieve a free Uganda. Freedom is coming. Yes, Isaac. Freedom is coming. Okay? The other thing, I wanted to, I don't know if I should, anyway, Magogo is said to be a widow in the next coming weeks. I'm going to leave that at that. You can fill in the rest. Okay? Several NRM members, as I said, have been poisoned. So a little story about how Museveni has been doing certain things is, for example, whenever Museveni wanted to take over or control or do dirty deeds in a certain place, for example, in Karamoja, when they wanted to get into the gold reserves, the uranium, the whatever minerals are in Karamoja, he sent his wife to be the minister of Karamoja affairs. You remember that time? Within that time, several people from Karamoja were killed. Several. It is that time when Janet was there that we started seeing street kids from Karamoja region. Do you remember that? Kampala became just filled with Karamojong people begging. The reason why that was is because they were chasing them off their land. Many Karamojongs have been killed. Many uncountable, unreported, undocumented Karamojongs are missing to date. And because they cannot, Karamoja has retained their values for a very long time. Education has been cheated from them conveniently by the Museveni regime for a very long time. Their lifestyle has not granted them a lot of civilization like the rest of Uganda has. In that case, with all of that being that is a fact of their life, there has not been good documentation of what is going on in Karamoja. Recently, several videos have been coming out when the president went to Karamoja, and we saw videos of people naked and dying of hunger daily, is when the whole world got alerted about how badly Karamoja is doing. So after Janet Museveni left, after they had extracted a lot of gold, a lot of the minerals from Karamoja is not even documented in tons. We don't know how much is there, because when Janet was there, no questions were supposed to be asked. They took a lot of the mineral to Tanzania, where they have their village. A lot of it has gone to Rwanda. A lot of it, obviously, for personal gain. There is not a ministry, that ministry of Anita, is it Anita? Something natural resources or whatever. Those ministries are just placeholders. They do not, I repeat, they don't have any record of traces of anything. Not oil, not minerals, not gold, nothing. Not even fish in Lake Victoria. Reason being, all of those precious minerals are controlled, owned personally by Museveni's people. So with Janet being there, they've killed thousands of Karamojongs. I've heard about 3 million Karamojongs are in incarceration for crimes they can't even explain. The life of a Karamojong person is very bare. That we think about a car and this and that. He probably just needs a few clothes on his back, a wrap, guarantee of food, his cows or their cows, and a place to live. They're not extravagant. We've not seen any of that happening. Although it's possible that in the cities that's the case. But the real indigenous Karamojongs have nothing left in their land. A lot of their land has been taken and owned by these Rwandese people. Many of them have taken residency there. So every time Museveni puts this woman of his anywhere, it means slowing down livelihood of people. The next place that they moved into, Janet Museveni has moved into, was the Ministry of Education. She's the current Minister of Education, and you will not believe. I was surprised by this. Being that Janet, since the time Janet came into the Ministry of Education, listen and listen well. When I speak like this, feel free to relate to your own circumstances. It is amazing that what these people have done quietly, that we have just woken up to. So in the Ministry of Education, okay, where Janet is the current minister, did you know that since she became a minister, all their family, remember Janet did not go to school. I think she stopped in P2 or something, or P7. P7 would be tops. She did not go to school. She has no business being a whole administrator of a chamber of education in a country. But get why she was there. As always, when they put her in a place, there are no questions asked. But here's what they did with the Ministry of Education. Their main purpose of having the Ministry of Education was to give all Rwandese families documentation of education. Certificates, whatever was necessary for them to look legitimate, they gave them. Just issuing, putting the name and issuing Yes, Katongole, yes. P3 dropout. I said P7 would be way too much. Anyways, the reason why she went, she's the Minister of Education, is so that she can document, she can give certificates, transcripts, you name it, whatever they need for their Rwandese community and people and family, documentation to look legitimate so that they can get jobs in high places in foreign countries, the Western world, and all that. So Navas, hello. So she is there not because she's qualified to be. So many of their family members got higher certificates of higher education. I'm talking from P7. If we could have certificates issued for P1, P2, yes, they'd have them too. Certificates from P7 all the way to doctorate degrees. When you hear of Dr. So-and-so of Rwandese descent, they did not go to school for it. They were handed the certificate like here. Like you get cash and say, here's $10, go do something with it. That is how every step of the way, every single step of the way. Yes, P2, I said P7 would be too much. P2 sounds about right. So I'm going to give you examples of these people. Okay. They even needed job references, which were given to them by ministries, the Ministry of Education. People like CJ Muyingo, JC Muyingo, one of the two. I actually went to Namugongo school, and I remember Mr. Muyingo very well. I couldn't tell then that he was, running with the thugs at the time. But time has come where they feel like Janet is tired. She's old. She can't function anymore. She has her own medical conditions. She's not able to manage this ministry anymore. And if you remember, when Honorable Senyonyi began to probe the Uganda Airlines lady Bamuturachi, you will remember the circumstances around Bamuturachi's education. It then came up to their attention that Ugandans may be figuring out this thing that they've been running for a while. Bamuturachi was a sacrifice they were willing to let go. In his interrogation and investigation, Honorable Joel Senyonyi questioned Bamuturachi's education and requested that she brings her documents of qualification. Obviously, when you are hired to a high position like an airlines, you have to be qualified. You have to have documentation from P7, S6, university, whatever you studied. I think she studied something that has no relationship with business anyway. That's what she claimed. So get this, Bamuturachi never went to school. Like she said, this was a favor to her because of her father, Sijui. Indeed, Bamuturachi never went to Makerere. Bamuturachi never studied what she claimed she studied. They were too embarrassed to produce those documents because we would trace them to the roots. If she said she went to school in 1994 at Makerere, blah, 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 there would be somebody who would say, I was in that class. I studied at this time. How come I never saw you? How come you never showed up? How come? So that because they knew we would figure them out, they did not release transcript for Bamuturachi. She gave us stories about left and right, this, that, and the other, until Joel Senyonyi could not collect those documents. Bamuturachi is one of the main examples why a whole airline collapses like this, where an airplane travels to Heathrow and the tire will burst, and she will not do the math to figure out how that whole process of replacement or fix or whatever should come about. Because if you don't know something, you don't know it. In fact, the worst person to talk to is somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, but is making things up as they go along. Because that is the foolishest anyone will ever look. And Bamuturachi has looked that way since day one. Several people recently in the UAE, somewhere in the Arab Emirates area, were stuck because their flight got canceled. They stayed for a week or something. I mean, people all over the world look at Ugandans like, do you guys have brains? Like, do you understand? How does a whole airline fail to prepare to make connections for people who already paid them? How is that even possible? Now, all of this makes sense because she never really went to school for any of this. This was handed to her just like they did with the rest of them. This was a whole Randy's operation under Janet Museveni. She got a certificate in a place she probably never boarded an airplane, came from selling tomatoes somewhere to planning trips and managing an airline. Therefore, an airplane seems bigger than or larger than her life. She can't imagine it. But this is how these people have been working. Many UNEB, many certificates. It is also said that, get this, Besige's wife, Winnie Byanyima, did not have all the credentials to go to where she was given a job. When I tell you FDC and Besige is a whole saga and a whole lot of BS, it is true. Because how do you explain Besige's wife being in such a place, okay? The UN or whatever the place her office is, on the international stage, but fails to bring about a rescue for her husband who has been in prison coming to a year. Look at us and what we have done for Noop. Just being foot soldiers and being on platforms and this, that, and the other. Bobby Wine, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, recently just started traveling to these places and making an impact. But you can tell me that Winnie Byanyima, who has been working in these offices for these many years, has no way to trigger something to get her husband rescued? And meanwhile, this is the husband who was in the bush with Museveni, but has no idea who this guy is and that he's Rwandese and all of that? How so? We have been fooled for so long. This Besige thing has to stop. I'm sorry he's in prison, but maybe he wants to. Maybe he has a deal with these people. It's about time we focus on where we can achieve. They will release Besige when they want. I'm sure he's probably having fun. Maybe he doesn't even stay in prisons anymore. So let Besige not be our worry, not be our issue. I know our president says otherwise, and I'm sorry, but this doesn't make sense. This doesn't add up. It doesn't. It doesn't add up, people. So anyway, continuing with UNEB and Janet exiting UNEB. This is the bitter part. Now that Janet wants to leave UNEB because her health is failing. You know, these people thought they would live forever and not face any health issues or challenges or a Bobby Wine who came like a storm. They didn't think of a Kyagulanyi Ssentamu who would just shake their bones. Now that it's time that we've figured out that she's a P2 dropout, cannot add value, we have exposed them, we know that she's not intelligent, we know that she's inadequate, we know that she's incompetent, we know that all these certificates are fake and all of that. They have decided to execute. I'm talking kill or do away with offices or officers of those offices that work for the Ministry of Education. I'm talking UNEB, Makerere, Nkumba, Chambogo, the Ministry of Education, people like J.C. Muyingo, Peter Ogwang, Joyce Kadogo, Dr. Cedric Turiagenda, all those who are part of these dirty deals of producing and reproducing paperwork for these Museveni families All of them from Rwanda, Tanzania, all those got documentation. All of them went to foreign missions. There are ambassadors who presented credentials in their country of appointment that were fake. They didn't even know how to handle ambassadorship, but they went along with it. And usually when the president or the country that's posting somebody verifies those facts, that country that's receiving the ambassador doesn't question. So many of these people, Rwandese people who have taken up ambassadorship as Ugandans, were given papers from the photocopy. They were just made for papers. We talk about Nasarod. These guys had it in-house. All those people went to study petroleum. All they needed was certain certifications to be able to qualify to go. They could cut off their hands on duty. But the point was to get them out. Some of the people, such as, I have a name of somebody here. Romushana. Yes. Boy. People like Romushana. When he was given his first position, he had not gone to school. They just went to the printing press and gave him certificates of whatever he needed to exist. Eventually, he went back to school online just to get some knowledge about the area of work that he's doing. People like Andrew Mwenda, because he's very smart or intelligent, he does exams for these people. Even Muhoozi, I understand people like Andrew Mwenda are existential because they helped improve or give inside knowledge or educate these people from behind the scenes. Okay? It is possible, Donald, Dorinda, Sunset, she mentions the new Chief Justice. Who knows? It is very likely. We are now going to have to question everybody who has taken up position or taken up roles by appointment, because it doesn't necessarily mean that they qualified for it. Ugandans go to school strenuously, very difficult circumstances, lack of money, school fees here and there. You bear the storm, you go through, parents suffer educating children. You end up finishing university, and then you go and sell on the street because these high offices are occupied by these failures. These people who were just given a paper, a documentation off the press of certificates that they have no idea how these areas function. It is no wonder most of these ministries fail. Most. Imagine giving a doctor's certificate to somebody who has not gone to medical school. Do you wonder why people die of malaria? Or simple conditions? This is what they've been doing. Petroleum, they have certificates just so that they can get paid. That is why we have not taken off with petroleum extraction or refinery. People who are just placeholders so that they look like they know what they're doing and get paid. They are promoting their generations. They are promoting their offsprings. Whether or not they're qualified, that's the least of their worries. How dangerous is that? So anyway, with Janet Museveni coming off that high horse, all these people are going to disappear. CJ Muyingo, he was my headmaster once at Namugongo. People like Admakerere, who also were part of this scheme. People who work for UCE, UACE, all of them part of this scheme. All of you, because you have so much, you know so much, and you could tell all these people, like somehow now we know about the Winnie Byanyimas, they all have to be done away with. All the heads of institutions who are used to document this paperwork have to be eliminated. These people don't care about you. Trust me, they don't. Parents, yes, Navas. Parents do everything to get their children through school. Compared to, for example, in America, once somebody is 18, you kind of fend for yourself. So we know how hard it may be for somebody to start living on their own. But in Uganda, where I come from, parents struggle with their children and don't leave them alone until they finish university, and very, very, very difficult circumstances, very challenging. So we have to take back institutions like these. And maybe some of the first resolutions that will come when our president, His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, comes to take office, all of these things have to get overhauled. All of them. We have to have references. Now, that also makes sense that they burned Makerere about 2 years ago. They set that office, or that place where documents were stored, ablaze. Do you know that that has been a tactic for a long time of Museveni? You know the house or the place where Rwandi's refugee documents were stored in Buganda, Bulangi, was also burned down? Now you know that they're burning evidence because they don't want to be discovered. They don't want to be discovered as those people who came as refugees, so that we don't identify them. But slowly, we are getting there, and we will get there. We have so many people who have lived that long with credible information. And some of them are even spilling the beans. You know, while they talk among themselves, the satellites that we have are catching this information. While they chat, all these facts cannot be made up, because soon you will see them. And these are captured when they speak. Janet has cried many, many times saying, I'm done. I'm tired. I'm tired of people calling me a P2 dropout, because she truly is. And we have to talk about it. So she's upset about that, and she's tired physically. You know, she has all kinds of conditions. Her legs are swelled up every day that I see her. If she's not wearing a maxi dress to the floor like a wedding gown, somehow she's in the longest possible clothing to her legs or up above her knee, her ankles. She's sick. That is a sign of sickness. She's tired. She needs to rest. But because they've wound themselves so strongly against this evil practice, they can't undo it. And it's not easy, even if they try. Look at Bamuturachi. She was just one, and she has spilled all these beans. So slowly we're discovering and uncovering them, and we're getting there. It gets better every day. Okay? So back to the UPDF. I think I've finished with Romushana and having people going into the oil industry. You wonder why Ugandans don't go into petroleum and oil, right? It's because the fake certificates are given to only their people. Do you also know that State House receives, as a matter of, and I've been part of Uganda politics a little bit. Many of you know that I'm actually the ex-wife of the late Jacob Olanya. I know for a fact that there are tons of scholarships that countries from different parts of the world offer to Uganda at the State House of Uganda to give them a chance to take on some students for free. Do you know that all those scholarships go to Rwandese people? You can tell me how many Ugandans are out here on State House scholarship. Not many. All those scholarships are given to their Rwandese children and children's children. And if they're going for higher education, they can make more of the other certificates of lower level of education just to get these people out. Countries like in Europe, the US, China, Asia, everywhere in the world, maybe the Arab Emirates, I don't know, anywhere in the world, countries with mutual relationships give each other good faith, good graces. Hey, I have 10 scholarships for your students. Send me your best students. All those are sent to of Rwandese people only, not Ugandans. Our poor Ugandans, after struggling so long to finish university, we end up on the streets doing boda boda, selling tomatoes or whatever in the markets, People of great intellect are in prison. People like Waiswa Mufumbiro, an intelligent human being. Why is he in prison? Because he speaks truth to power. That is how these people operate. So their intention was to water down the education system for Ugandans, but promote their own. But it's time, since she's stepping down, they plan to put Natasha. Apparently, when Natasha found out that we knew about that move, she's hesitant. But I know for a fact that when things change, which is going to change soon, none of them will be useful. None of them will take up that position. None of them. They will all leave our country in peace. I have one other part to talk about, the UPDF. I talked about them being poisoned. I'm going to go through this quickly because I think I already talked about most of these, but I may have rewritten them. So, of the 20 UPDF people who were poisoned at Teresita, at the event that Museveni set up for the armed forces, I think they have it every year. Of the 29, the next operation is going to be to send them to, Museveni is going to invite all these historicals or the 0013 or whatever of the 3 numbers and 4 numbers. They're going to call them up to a refresher course. A refresher course meaning they have to do their physicals, they have to be fit, their health has to be in good shape, mentally they have to be capable, their vision and hearing and all of that has to be good. In the event of doing that, he's going to test these people that he already poisoned, okay? And because they're not going to pass by virtue of what they've already eaten, taken as poison, he is going to send them away, to release them from the military, saying, you guys are not qualified enough. Because remember, he's regrouping the military for his son, Muhoozi, to take over power after him. Even if they know that there's a high likelihood that that will not happen. They are now regrouping. So the 29 plus who have been poisoned will not pass that refresher course for one health reason or another. They will all eventually be laid off and replaced by Muhoozi's group, the Rwandese, the SFCs, those people that he keeps training, the ones who brutalize Ugandans day and night. Those types of people are going to be brought in, and the old brigadiers and so on will be eliminated. Okay. The same people at Sunday's, I understand the gentleman who has replaced Sunday, the next one under him was actually seen on the scene when Sunday's life was ending. His name, I have it somewhere. But that gentleman was indeed on the scene while they were trying to get him, while they were not trying to get him help. He was the one that reported that he's done to the Muhoozi people. They've taken his body. They took his body. Obviously, Museveni is a very ritual and witchcraft type person. They took his body there and they've done whatever they do. And his shoes that had the poison have not been seen, and the family testifies to that. The shoes of the late Sunday that had the poison